Our gospel passage tonight, again from the Gospel according to Matthew, can be found at chapter 19, beginning at verse 16. Then someone came to Jesus and said, "Teacher, what good deed must I do to have eternal life?" And he said to him, "Why do you ask me about what is good? There is only one who is good. If you wish to enter into life, keep the commandments." He said to him, "Which ones?" And Jesus said, "You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, you honor your father and mother. Also, you shall love your neighbor as yourself." The young man said to him, "I have kept all these. What still do I lack?" Jesus said to him, "If you wish to be perfect, go, sell your possessions, and give the money to the poor, and then you will have treasure in heaven. Then come, follow me." When the young man heard this word, he went away grieving, for he had many possessions. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. You've heard me say it before. Jesus talked about money more than he talked about almost anything else. Jesus talks about money more than he does about heaven or hell. The only thing he talks about more is the reign of God. In tonight's passage, we hear the last of our gospel voices for Lent. And at first, all we know about this young man is that he is eager to please God. He is eager to enter into what he calls eternal life. And eternal life is a tricky concept in the New Testament. It's one of those already not yet words, like the kingdom of heaven. It is about the future, but it is about now as well. It is about abundant life, fullness of life, true communion with God in life, which is what we are all seeking, whether we know it or not. Jesus' answer is straightforward. If you want to enter into life, he says, keep the commandments. The young man asks, "Which ones?" which I have to say sounds a little bit like he's looking for loopholes. He's trying to get out of something. He's hoping we can tell right away that something's going to fall off the list. Jesus names 6 commandments, 5 of the traditional 10, plus one that serves as an umbrella for all the others. Love your neighbor as yourself. Our young man is relieved just for a moment because these he is familiar with and these he has kept. He has perhaps a few seconds of elation. This is what he's hoping for, yet there's a part of him that's wiser still, and he persists. Anything else? Jesus gives him further instruction. If you wish to be perfect, go, sell your possessions, and give the money to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come, follow me. And there it is. There it is. The thing that breaks his heart. Because he just can't do that. What is the one thing you can't do for the love of God? The one thing you can't give up. The one thing you can't let go of. According to writer Richard Rohr, whose words I have been steeping myself in all through Lent, we all have something. We all, every one of us, find ourselves back to the wall in some way, shape, or form, and that is not so terribly surprising. so I will let him explain it to you. I must be upfront with you. I do not really understand why God created the world this way. I do not know why power is at its best in weakness, as Paul says, or it is when I am weak that I am strong. It sure seems like God is some kind of trickster. All I know is that it matches my own observation. I cannot pretend to understand God, but this is what I see. People who have moved from seeming success to seeming success seldom understand success at all, except a very limited version of their own. People who fail to do it right, by even their own definition of right, are those who often break through to enlightenment and compassion. It is still a mystery to me, and it will be a mystery for you, even if you read this book to the end. The big difference, and it is big, is that you will hopefully be able to accept and even revel in this cosmic economy of grace. It is God's greatest surprise and God's constant disguise. But you only know it to be true by going through it and coming out the other side yourself. You cannot know it by just going to church, reading scriptures, or listening to someone else talk about it, even if you agree with them. Until you bottom out and come to the limits of your own fuel supply, there is no reason for you to switch to a higher octane of fuel. For that is what is happening. Why would you? You will not learn to actively draw upon a larger source until your usual resources are depleted and revealed as wanting. In fact, you will not even know there is a larger source until your own sources and resources fail you. Until and unless there is a person, situation, event, idea, conflict, or relationship you cannot manage, you will never find the true manager. So God makes sure that several things will come your way that you cannot manage on your own. Jesus used the metaphors of a grain of wheat or a branch cut off from the vine. Paul used the unfortunate word flesh, which made most people think he was talking about the body. So some Bible translators now call it self-indulgence, which is much closer to the meaning. But both Jesus and Paul were pointing to the isolated and protected small self. And they both said, it has to go. Unless the grain of wheat falls on the ground and dies, it remains only a single grain. But if it dies, it will yield a rich harvest. No one likes to die to who they think they are. Their false self is all they have. Letting go is not in anybody's program for happiness. And yet all mature spirituality, in one sense or another, is about letting go and unlearning. For the rich young man, it was his many possessions. For some of us, it's a substance like alcohol or drugs or food. For some of us, it's our sense of control over other people, places, things. For all of us, we are confronted with the question, what must we give up in order to have truly abundant life? What is standing between us and an experience of the one who seeks to be the light in our darkness, the flame to our chill, the living water to our parched throats? What is it finally that stands between us and God? And can we let it go?